Well then, let's boo-boo. Hello there, I'm Scotty, and you're not. We are here to talk about the final part of the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, The World's End. So I've been through, we'll just talk about these three Cornetto films. With Shaun of the Dead being based on Strawberry, hence the red. And I gave that a to the moon. Hot Fuzz, based on Classico, which for all I could find was just like a regular drumstick ice cream cone with the chocolate in the bottom. And The World's End, even though it's not featured as much, is supposed to be around mint. I don't even recall them even showing a cornetto. It's probably like in the background somewhere because they didn't know how to work it in this kind of movie. And to their credit, I don't see where they could have. Stories about Gary King, a man who, when he was young, went with a bunch of friends to the Golden Mile, 12 pubs, an entire night, ending at the pub called The World's End. Now, I should have written it down. I don't remember all the names that so I'm not even going to try, but yeah, he reunites with his friends all these years later to make the pub crawl again because they couldn't finish it back then. And I'll say, even though I knew going in that this was going to be a sci-fi-esque comedy type movie, if you went in not knowing anything about this movie and just started watching it, you would think this is some dramedy, a drama comedy about a man who is down on his life, is hit rock bottom, and the only thing he has left is to finish this pub run that he wasn't able to finish 20 some years earlier. That's what it really seems like. He's in this mental hospital. You don't really get told exactly what's going on. He's in this hospital. He tells the story of what happened all those years ago that they didn't finish their pub run, and someone asked him, were you disappointed that you didn't finish? He's like, no. And then he decides to go ahead and do it anyway. Get his whole friends back together and do it again. And while all of them by him are hesitant, they decide to go along with it. And along the way, they discover something else is going on in their old town of Newton Castle, Newton. I don't know, their old hometown. But Gary King, played by Simon Pegg, is determined to finish the run with any means possible. And yeah, so I'll admit I knew there was a sci-fi twist to this film going in. And I watched that video that Edgar Wright was going through scenes. So I knew that there were like aliens with the blue liquid coming out of them, or whatever to call it, blanks, whatever. Because I seen him break down the scene. The pub fight, which is a very good scene, by the way. Nick Frost with two stools, just, you know. So yeah, Gary leaves the hospital and starts to meet up with his friends, and he keeps saying, everyone's on board, and like even Andy, and I'm like, there's something with Andy. Something happened, which you find out later. There was a car accident when they were drinking when they were younger. Gary bailed on him, and he got a car accident and had to have like a surgery or something, and that from that day on, he's been alcohol free, which You know there's something with that because when they go, he wants tap water, which Andy never drink from a tap in a bar. All right, you're you're less likely to get sick from the beer than you are from just tap water. I know maybe they have filtered stuff, but I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah. And it's very interesting to see Nick Frost play this kind of character where he's been sort of the goofy sidekick character to Simon Pegg's sort of straight man. Especially in Hot Fuzz. Simon Pegg was the straight man, and then you had Nick Frost as sort of the goofy side character. And then in Shaun of the Dead, they were both kind of goofy, but I think Nick Frost was a little more goofy. He was that lazy friend that just kind of hung around a lot. Here, Nick Frost is playing the straight man, and it's Simon Pegg who's the goofy guy who just wants to get this run done. Great, and you have some top-notch British actors in here. You have David Bradley, and Martin Freeman, who are coming back from Hot Fuzz, I believe. And you have Rosamund Pike, who was in a Bond movie. Speaking of Bond, Pierce fucking Brosnan is in this. Did I say Martin Freeman? Yeah. Let's see. Eddie Marsan plays their friend Peter. So I don't know anyone else, I don't think. But yeah. So full disclosure, I really enjoyed this movie. I think this is okay. So full disclosure, like I said, I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Just going with the Cornetto trilogy here, I love Shaun of the Dead. I thought Hot Fuzz was good, but I didn't enjoy it as much as most people do. People are out there saying Hot Fuzz is the best. I still say Shaun of the Dead is the best of the three, but I enjoyed this more than I thought I would because after Hot Fuzz, I was like, okay, maybe it goes downhill from there. And I've heard this people say this is the worst of the trilogy. No, this is the second best of the trilogy in my opinion. I really enjoy this. I think the big problem with Hot Fuzz for me is that Simon Pegg was the straight man. Really. Like, yes, he was sort of the straight man in Shaun of the Dead, like I said, but he had his goofy moments. But in Hot Fuzz, he was playing it too straight. There were some teeny tiny goofy moments in there, especially towards later in the film, when he became more excessive. But when you start out with him being more like Dan Aykroyd's character in Dragnet, just a fax man, and being like a stick in the mud, yeah, that's not Simon Pegg, though. Simon Pegg is the goofy character. It's the guy you cast as a goofy sidekick. Look at his character, Scotty, in Star Trek. Even though Scotty wasn't really that character, but it works. Other than that movie where he knocked himself in the head, was that Star Trek 5 or whatever? I haven't seen all the Star Trek movies, by the way. And this is not alcohol. It's soda. It's Mountain Dew Zero. But I don't have like a big glass. I suppose I could have made it look like it. What I usually do for 10 beer, fake beer, is I'll take, I get the apple juice packets, and I'll mix it with soda, normally Mountain Dew Zero or something. Mix it together, it's got that yellow, and there's the froth from the soda, and apple thing makes it frothy too, and it looks like beer, but it's not, just to pretend because I don't often buy beer. I'm not a big beer guy. I like wine coolers and stuff. But yeah, so they do their run. And it seems to be going okay. But they start to notice that the people of their old hometown are acting strange. And it's I think they're like the third pub. They're in, Gary goes to the bathroom. He's talking to this guy. This guy's just it seems like he's ignoring him. I thought the guy was deaf, but it turns out this is when we have the twist because he's like, hey, he's like, you don't want to do that. He's like, well, really? And he punches him into like blue liquid and stuff. There's a fight, and the head pops off. The choreography is very robotic. You see something's going on, and then head pops off. Blue ink blood stuff comes out, and he realizes something's going on. The guys come in and confront him, and they realize, and then they're attacked by the rest of the guys' buddies, and they realize there is something going on. You get this great fight scene in the bathroom with the blanks, as they call them, and they decide they're going to keep doing it. Gary says it's because they want to make it. He says, oh, we already told them we're doing the pub crawl, we're doing the Golden Miles, we got to keep doing it to make it appear as if we have no idea what's going on, just keep going. I will admit that before, I do want to say that before this, they do meet up with Oliver's sister, Levi Rosamund Pike, who had a sort of one-night stand with Gary back during the original pub crawl. They did it in the disabled bathroom. And he thinks he wants to do it now, but she's like, no, I have to use the bathroom, the bathroom. But, yeah. She hands him the out of order sign, which comes in handy later. And there was one thing I caught early on. They mentioned that Oliver had a 6 mark on the side of his head when he was talking about in the past. They called him "Oh Man" because he had a 6. Oh, I just got that. I was like, what is "Oh Man"? Omen, the 6. Okay, I just got that. You just saw me come to the realization of what "Oh Man" meant. I didn't think about it. I was about to say I didn't understand it. Why call him "Oh Man" if there's a 6? I just realized "Oh Man," Omen, 6. Okay. There. There's my brain working. But yeah, they called him "Oh Man" because he had the 6 on his head, but he got it lasered off. They make a big point to point out that he got it lasered off. So later, when he's taken over by the blanks, they realize he was because he has the 6 back. Because they can't, whatever happens to you, it goes back because he was born with that. So whatever you were born with, that's what you have. So any scars or anything are removed. Any surgery you have done is fixed. Or changed back, I should say, not fixed. Although, with all the plastic surgery actresses do, they look worse after the plastic surgery. Just let yourself get old, ladies. I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah. But they keep going. They keep going because Gary is determined to get this run done. But they are confronted now. Because at a certain point, it becomes very obvious that they know. And so at every point, they are being confronted by these aliens. And we get the revelation, and this is one of the parts I didn't like because it's a commentary. Edgar Wright is commentating on, it's his commentary on the world's technological advancements. And it's saying that the only reason we have advanced so far technologically is because these aliens landed in 1990 and caused us to have these technological advancements. This does not make sense, especially what happens at the end. Because by the 90s, we had technology, electricity, everything. And if these aliens only arrived in 1990, they would only advance the technology that we had. But when the movie ends, it becomes the second dark age. The second dark age is because there's no technology left. And that doesn't make any sense to me. I get that if they're saying, oh, we destroyed all technology because you wanted us to leave or whatever. Fine. But it seems like they're saying that aliens are responsible for all technology on Earth, and without them, we wouldn't have any, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I get it. It's a commentary on technology and how it's advanced so far, how we relied on it. I get that, but just the ending kind of. Yes, and characters are picked off one by one. And here's another thing I'm kind of iffy about. So they show us at the beginning that there's something between Oliver's sister, Sam, I think her name is, and Gary. But then, in the middle of the movie, in the middle of all this, all of a sudden Steven, one of the guys, pipes up and is like, I'm in love with you. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't think they said that he had a thing for her earlier in the film, but he's just like, I'm in love with you. I've always been in love with you. And I have a 26-year-old girlfriend, but I could tell her to fuck off if it means I could be with you. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, obviously, the story should be her and Gary, because that's what we set up. Like, oh, he had sex with her once in a restroom. Obviously, they should revisit that, and they should be love interests. And even there's a point where he runs off with her to escape from the blanks, and Steven is left behind, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because he was the lead, and I always think that that she's really the only main female character should be with the lead, and she ends up with Steven. It's not like a negative per se. It's a nitpick. I would say it's a nitpick. It's like a mixed aspect nitpick type thing where it's not like oh no, they end up together, but it's, I don't know. Honestly, like the whole ending part where they recap everything, and it just had me scratch my head a little bit. Oliver is replaced, like I said, with that's Martin Freeman's character, by the way, with a blank, and his head gets smashed halfway off, and they keep running with the joke that his character just has half a head, like the top of his head is gone for the rest of this film. And in the end, during the recap, they said, oh, his blank went and kept doing the real estate thing, and he's got like a bandage over the top of his head. We are shown that the aliens can make new versions of them. And I know that the aliens fucked off, as they say. But can they just still create? I don't know. I know the aliens fucked off. Maybe they can't create a new head, but it seems like they go a little too far just to keep this running joke that he has no head. Like, why didn't, I understand, okay, they left, but why didn't they replace his head before they left? Like, why? Because he comes down to talk to him and he's got half the head, and why didn't they replace his head? It's just like, I don't know. And they replace Peter, played by Eddie Marsan. He gets one up on his school bully, who is a blank, so it means nothing really. I don't think if it was the real bully, but he's confronting the bully, even though it's not his real bully. It's a blank, and there's one scene that really had me questioning what they were thinking, like the characters, because there's a scene where they call the something sandwich or whatever. There's like two blonde girls and a redhead, and they are flirting with it, but they're obviously blanks because they look as young as they were back then. And they're like, oh, and it's like they just, abandon it because they're attractive. And it's like, no, they haven't aged. Obviously, they're blanks. What are you doing? No. But, Gary is firm on the fact that he wants to finish his run. So he leaves. We're down. He helps Sam escape in her car so so she can leave and get out of there. And so it's down to the three musketeers now, and Stephen and Andy. Andy knocks out Gary so that they could uh, get to the Beast, which is Gary's car from 1989. And there's a thing at the beginning here where he still has a cassette tape that was given to him. He has this car. He's stuck in 1989. He's stuck in the past. That's his whole thing. He's stuck in the past, right? That's his whole thing. He's stuck in the past. So yeah. So they go to one pub. I think it's pub number 10, and he's unconscious, but he gets one more, and then he runs to the next one because they realize, he has to get to number 10, but they knock him out, and then the other two realize we have to go through pub number 10 to get to the Beast. So they get in there. Gary wakes up. He has his pint, and then he says, "Okay, good luck," and he runs off, and the other two get to the Beast, but Steven is taken out, and then Annie chicks after him. They get to pub 11. He has his pint there, and they have the confrontation. No, that's not there. That eventually they get to the World's End, which is the final pub. That's where they have the confrontation. And Andy admits that his marriage isn't what it should be. It's strained. He's having problems with his wife, that sort of thing. And we find out, the whole hospital thing in the beginning, when there's a confrontation, there is bandages on Gary's arms, which means he was in the hospital because he was trying to commit suicide. That's when it's revealed it was a mental hospital and not just a place he was living at or whatever. And so this thing is literally all he has left. And this is my biggest criticism of the movie. They don't let him finish it. He gets in there, he has the pint, it says 12, and he goes to drink it, and he knocks it out of his hand. And then when he goes to pour another one, I'm like, good. He's going to get it. He's going to have his final pint. And no, because it's a magic lever that leads down, and he's confronted by the blanks. And that's basically, Steven shows up, and three of them say that there's human resolve, and they're not going to give up. And then aliens just like, fine, whatever, fuck it. Earth is yours. And they leave. And that's when all the power goes out in the entire Earth. Sam shows up and rescues them, drives them away. But I guess I'm just Gary in this case, because I'm saying, what about the 12th pint? Why? I don't understand how they could have messed it up. In my opinion, they messed it up here. He should have had his 12th pint. I understand that the story is that he's supposed to move on from it. But sometimes you can't move on from something unless you've completed it. And even though he's going to move on with his life now, we find out he's with the younger versions of himself, which everybody's like, oh, no blanks allowed. First of all, how would you know that, what they are? But you won't serve them, and he's drinking water now. But in this post-apocalyptic world now, because there's no electricity, because the aliens control all the electricity, which is bullshit. But I'm just like, why didn't he get to finish the run? Because even though he's sort of moved on from it, or you could say that he's moved on from it, it's always going to be in the back of his mind. I could have finished it. I was right there. I had it, and it was taken away from me because of aliens, because of Andy. He had it. Why wasn't he allowed to finish? I don't understand Edgar Wright's writing here. Why wasn't he allowed to finish his run? Why wasn't he allowed to finish the pint? I don't understand. There is a scene earlier in the film, the bar fight, which I mentioned, Nick Frost with the stools. During this, the whole thing is that Gary is just trying to finish his pint, and he's helping fight with beer spilling all, but he's just trying to finish it, and he does. So I thought that we were leaning towards, even though all these aliens are attacking, he's still going to finish what he set out to do. But he doesn't. And I feel that kind of takes away from the ending for me. Like, it should have been, like, the aliens were there, and they were attacking them. But even through all that, he finished. Spilled it on me, but he didn't. Why? Because we needed to have a scene where they hash out their personal problems. Well, why couldn't it have been they get there, then they have their argument, and then you have Gary explain that this is all I have left, and I need to finish this. So can you please help me finish this? And they do it, you know? And then the aliens could just, like, maybe instead of 11, the aliens just show up and confront him, you know? Instead of having him pull a lever to go down to another area, just have the aliens confront him. All the friends now turn. Steven shows up. Yeah, and like I said, in this thing we see that Andy is now he's the one that ends up telling this story, I guess. Steven got together with Sam. I think her name is Sam, isn't it? I don't know. But this is Oliver's sister, I should say. Oliver, I guess, went back to real estate, even though he's missing the top of his head, and I guess he can't see either. And then the fake Peter went back to his home life. Now, this would have made more sense if they all survived and were forced to move on from stuff. But the two of them are turned into blanks, so I don't understand. I guess it's meant to say that the blanks are now stuck on Earth, because they do have a commentary where it's like, oh, they're stuck on Earth now, so they have to live amongst the humans, and they're ridiculed. Okay. But, like, their families don't know? I don't know. But, and Gary went on to run around with the younger versions of his friends, the blanks, creating younger versions of his friends. And like I said, he orders 5 waters, but they won't serve blanks. How do they know they're blanks, though? Have they been there before? Who knows? Yeah, everything's very dark ages. It's very, no electricity or anything. I don't know. Did this thing destroy the satellites that are in space? Because you think they would have fallen out? Maybe they just got out of the Earth's orbit and floated away. I don't know. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. Everyone says that when the satellites fail, they're just going to fall down to Earth, right? Wouldn't gravity, if they failed, they would go out of the Earth's orbit, and gravity would just take them away, right? Like, there's no gravity, There's no gravity in space. So why would they fall down into space when they fail? Wouldn't, the Earth's gravitational pull may take them? But what if they fall out of orbit enough to where they just pulled out into space? You could say the Earth's gravitational pull would take them, but I don't know. And there's more water on Earth than land, so more than likely they're guaranteed to fall into the ocean than anything, but who knows? Just a little thing. But yeah, I enjoyed this film. When it comes to The World's End, I'd say it's pretty good. So if you're paying attention, out of all the films so far, Hot Fuzz is the least that I liked. I still liked it, but it's not worst. It's just least best, I guess I should say, because I haven't hated any of these films at all. They're all pretty good. When it comes to the Cornetto trilogy, I'll tell you, it goes Hot Fuzz, The World's End, and Shaun of the Dead. Where the other films will go in there, who knows? But we're doing good. I enjoyed this movie. The ending kind of went, for me, but I enjoyed it. That's why it's pretty good. Because I could say it's middle of the road, but that would put it less than Hot Fuzz. I have Hot Fuzz a pretty good. So this is going to be a pretty good because I liked it better than Hot Fuzz. So, yeah. I enjoyed it more than Hot Fuzz. The comedy and stuff was great. Edgar Wright's good at comedy, I believe. So what are your thoughts on The World's End? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.